We're live! Hello and welcome to the 65th episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm Maddie Allen with ChrispyMan of HexFire.io and Brisology. Welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going? How's your week?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great.
And we're live.
So yeah, hit the like and subscribe button if you're excited about this episode. We've been streaming every week very consistently, the three of us. So we rock, and so do you who have been tuning in. Validate the like button.
That's right. Even those losers who aren't tuning in, they rock too. We'll give them credit.
All right.
They can come back anytime.
So I'm streaming from the mountains. Came here to Gatlinburg on a family vacation. And guess who came on the same exact days? I'll give you one
Nakamoto.
guess.
Satoshi
I'll give
Nakamoto.
you two guesses. Two guesses.
Richard
I'll give you
Hart.
a clue. I'll give you a clue. He
Richard
normally streams with us every once in a while.
Oh, Tobiwan.
Tobiwan showed up here like 3 miles away.
Worst vacation ever.
So, yeah, him and I met up last night and we talked all things Pulse Chain, HEX, and PulseX, and even Ink token. We talked about that one too. And I got to meet his sister and her husband, and his parents were already passed out. But yeah, definitely fun to see another Hexican out in the real world.
Yeah, it's weird to find people in the wild like that. Hey, so was it a positive conversation? Were you talking about the upside of Pulse Chain Inc?
How did you know?
I don't know. I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of upside, and I'm going all in on Pulse Chain. So let's go.
Well, I would argue there is no upside because I just saw 4,000 validators burn all their PLS.
Yeah, they must know something. They must have been getting out before it was too late. Oh wait,
why would
they burned all their PLS?
Why would they help out the system so much?
Very benevolent move.
Very benevolent move.
Self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice.
I was looking at the statistics here on plsburn.com, and I was noticing how similar the supply of burned tokens is between Pulse Chain, the coin, and PulseX, the token. So the amount of Pulse that's been burned so far is 105 billion, which is 0.7% of the total supply. And let's face it, we're only what, 33, 32 days in?
Damn straight.
All right.
32 days. 32 days.
Got 105 billion of burned Pulse, never to return ever again. And then you've got 151 billion of PLSX that's been burned, and that is also 0.7% of the total supply. It's 0.72%. Nice. Of the total supply. If we're not including the OA, that's 21 trillion PLSX, and it's 15 trillion Pulse tokens is the total supply there. Now, if we do include the OA, then the numbers are also very similar. It's 135 trillion Pulse and 143 trillion PLSX. So kind of interesting that even with all the sacrificing and everything, those numbers and those total supplies ended up very similar, as did the amount burned. However, you'll notice that there's a 2.5 ratio difference between the price of Pulse and PulseX. So such that you can get 2.5 PulseX for Pulse. So which one do you guys think is the better trade?
Well, before we get there, can I make an observation?
Please.
Based on the numbers that you have just reported, and I'm assuming you're accurate, right? And assuming we burn just half as much at this rate, going forward. I know you'd have to actually do the math on this because the validator is kind of a special situation, but that would be eliminating 10% of the supply of each token by the end of the presumed 4-year cycle.
Wow.
Right? Because, right,
Wow.
0.7% per month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over the next 26 months, roughly. Divide that in half, it's right about 9-10%. So whether it comes in at 7% or 12% is still a significant amount of any token or coin to be burned.
I'm not sure if it really means anything, but I noticed like last night I wrote down how much was burned, and then I wrote it again right before the show started, and I noticed that PLS is burning more coins than PLSX, at least in the last day.
Well, that's those validators. So I know we were joking around
that's
about the
what I think.
validators, but the validators, the 4,096 of them that were controlled by the dev team or the OA or whoever controlled the benevolency of those, they were not earning any pulse. All they were doing was paying it to the burn address. And then when they exited the system, all of their pulse that they had deposited goes to the burn address. And so they just finished exiting. So we had quite a bit come out the last couple of days for that reason. Right?
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, current coins being burned is really beneficial to everybody. And it's kind of the opposite of inflation, which is what gets us all bothered in the fiat world.
Yeah, it is like the opposite of inflation.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know what even to say about that other than it's just net beneficial, just keeps the supply in check. But Richard also did another tweet on the validators basically saying we are the network, so we need to do the work. And I think that's a good message. It helps like decentralize Pulse Chain, so we're not all relying on a big validator entity, on a single entity to keep the network going. So I think that's good.
I did I did an analysis today, a video on validation, and came up with some ridiculous numbers for what you could benefit from validating, even doing a single validator. Because I think it's another one of these things where you can look at the surface level and you see that one validator is only getting 24% of 32 million. That's not that much. That's like $2 a day, but at 100x it's $200 a day, at 1000x it's $2,000 a day. And so with price appreciation, it just kind of blows that whole thing up, and pretty much most people maybe some people start with one validator, most people are going to do more than one.
You're getting 20% for validating? What?
Oh no, Maddie, I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. It's 23.4%.
What?
Those are the numbers. Yeah.
Why would you tell me that? I'm definitely going to do it now.
Oh, it's not financial advice, my friend. You do your own research, but I'll point you to the right.
I just did all my research, and you said it's over 20%.
I'm doing my research right now.
Per year.
Yeah, APR.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
That's really cool.
On the one hand, you go, well, as a validator, I'm sorry, other validators, I'm not trying to get more people in so that we drop in APR. But I do believe in trading that information out, getting that information out to people, because there are going to be other opportunities. Maybe somebody wants to validate. It's a good opportunity to get more of this asset. Secures the system, secures the network, gets you a little bit more yield. As a validator. So it's all good, I think.
That's something to look forward to. Yeah, I guess that'll be the next thing I try to learn.
Well, would you say, we were going to talk about our expectations, or well, not expectations, but the possibilities, right? And so here's what I'm thinking. This, I'll just throw this one out. A big old softball, right? Or volleyball, beach ball. Let's make it a beach ball. It's a giant beach ball. We're going to play volleyball with it. And I throw it out there. At 100x, just one single validator, assuming the price of Pulse goes up 100x, which many of us believe that is a relatively possible thing, right? Probably lowish in some people's estimate. Validation would pay at the current rate $62,000 a year just for one validator. One validator. So people could actually get into a validator relatively cheap by going to like validatorstore.com with Feeder, or getting their own equipment and working with some of the other people like Gamma DevOps or HMax. You know, they have to deposit the Pulse, but it's your Pulse. You get it back. There are some pros and cons, but it would generate, you know, something in the order of $60,000 a year at 100x from here. I mean, that is like, from a passive income kind of dream. Now, sure, maybe it's a long shot. You guys decide for yourselves whether or not 100x is a long shot. But in my head, I'm thinking to myself, what a gift. If somebody wanted to do that, they wanted to set up passive income, they could set themselves up to potentially, during the year of the bull run, earn $60,000 a year from a $2,000 investment, $2,500 investment, and not even use that investment, still have it at the end, right? Because you still have it.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
Remember, the ultra rich people have at least 11 streams of income.
At least 11.
Really?
I don't know. I kind of made that number up, but sounds right.
Hey, let's use it. Hey, I'm a strong believer in passive income streams, and even semi-passive income streams. And 11's a good number. And the way I've been approaching my income streams is I want each income stream to be able to cover my bare minimum. And this way, I only need one of them to survive, you know. And if more of them survive, great. And if some of them do better, then that's even better, right?
And you know what one of the greatest passive incomes is? Hex.com. Right there. Stake it and chill.
Stake it till you make it, baby. That's it, my friend.
What does the FIRE stand for in Hex FIRE?
Financial independence, retire early. I'm glad you asked that, Maddie.
What's that all about?
That's all about. Well, that's what I'm all about. Is you know, taking the actions necessary to become financially independent. You know, which is a collection of things. It's not just one thing. It's not investing in crypto, quote unquote. It's managing your lifestyle, your spending, and your earning, right, in order to accomplish your goals. And then it gives you the freedom to retire early if possible. You know, and if you know, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole, so I'm gonna stop there. I'll start talking about this. But yes, that is what FIRE is. That's what Hex FIRE is all about. And of course, I came across that initially because I learned and wanted to use Hex to provide that income stream, and now it provides me too.
Awesome. Yeah. You're talking about EHEX and PHEX?
Yes, Hex. Yes, EHEX and Hex. Yes, two separate streams.
That's right.
And I don't mind if they cross.
Cross chain.
Cross stream.
Brisology's muted.
I said they'll probably have golden crosses and death crosses throughout the years. We'll see what happens, you know. But the streams will cross.
We'll see. I'm still waiting for, you know, look, I'm waiting for incentive, you know, the incentive token being given out to people who are providing liquidity between some of these not, you know, these free copies. That'll be really cool. What else do you guys see as like chess moves that haven't been made yet?
I'm just wondering about this, is if the hex farms come back, the EHEX to PHEX farm with the incentive coin, and it brings it back up to parity. I'm wondering what the market will do. Will the market, switch back over into PHEX? Are they going to just keep buying into EHEX? Will they feel like, oh no, this is my chance to get onto the Pulse chain in case that farm gets pulled again? I'm kind of interested on seeing what would happen if the hexes went back up to parity.
The market would keep deciding every single day. The market wakes up and decides the fate of EHEX and PHEX. And if they get surprised one day, like, one day you might have woken up and remembered in the past 33 days or 32 days that the price of EHEX was higher than PHEX, and then PHEX was higher. So you never know what's going to happen.
That's just a dream. That's just a dream. a fantasy. I have kind of a theory around all this. Certainly Briz is right that we may see some, some variation, on the average. But at this time, unless somebody does something really amazing, hey, thanks SMOs later. Unless somebody does something really amazingly different on the chains, I do believe that EHEX will be at a discount to PX, right? And the reason I believe that is there's cost of gas to transact, and there is cost of gas in order to sell and or bridge, right? So it's just natural to me that I can get the same APY on both sides per se, and that because it costs me more to get the staking operation done on the HEX side, on the Ethereum side, that it will be at a discount. Now, what will change that and could change that would be, behavior, user behavior, stakers and miners and what they do. And so far to now, what we've seen is that the APY is going up on Ethereum, and I have charts to show it. It's going up on Ethereum, and it's above what's on Pulse. And right now, it's just a small smidgen, but after another month, 2 months, 3 months, you may see a significant variation. And I would look to the 30-day rate to kind of give us a foreshadowing of movement. If you begin to see the 30-day APY rates or return on investment move in such a way that it's significantly different to go to Ethereum, then those 30-day stakers may move. The short stakers may move because they're already in the short game. And they're interested in earning yield in the short time frames. So you may see that movement. And once it gets to be a big enough difference, then I will see that happen. But so we'll just watch it and see.
Here's from Richard Hart just 2 minutes ago. It says, validators currently earn 23.8% APY in Pulse. You can support the network while paying yourself, and you can even connect your wallet to your own validator and never have to worry about someone else's RPC going down or tying your IP address to your crypto.
Yeah,
and then
100%.
Links launchpad.pulsechain.com.
Yeah, that APY has gone up 4% today.
Wow.
I think Richard's
That's
watching.
so good.
Hey, Richard. Love you.
Yeah.
If he is watching, thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything. Yeah. It's crazy. Man, I tell you, I burn more brain cells in this environment. And not from extracurricular activities, just from thinking too much.
Do you guys
hurts my brain.
Do you guys know if there's anything special about day 32 or day 33 in that range? Like, is that a special number in HEX at all?
Well, 3 and 3 is the same number. That was interesting. And
33 is great because I'm a Freemason. So.
Oh yeah, that works.
You guys were playing along last time I asked about whether 0.00005 is a special number. You guys didn't
I legitimately did not know about that the low thing, but I do know about day 33, which was the best day in HEX.
Yeah, it was the lowest day. Well, I've been trying to remember because listen, people, you know, maybe some people listening right now, they are feeling extreme FUD.
Yes.
They're about to be flushed out.
Yes.
All it takes is a strong, stiff wind, and they're going to fall over.
Unfortunately.
They're going to break their little glass hands and lose all their stuff, right? And you know what? I'm not giving out financial advice. So people can do what they want to do. But the way we have been talking about this and thinking about this hasn't changed. Time in the market's greater than time in the market. You have to
Amen.
delay. You have to delay gratification.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how many streams I saw and participated in when we looked at coins and tokens launching, and they went down 90% in the first few weeks. Why do we think it's going to be different? Why do people freak when they see this? They do, right? I mean, I don't like it either. I don't like it either. I liked it when we had 3 zeros and a 3 for Pulse. But you know, this is sometimes what happens, and then it takes sometimes 3 to 6 months for the base to kind of form, and for people to do everything they're going to do, and for things to start building. And so day 33 happens to be the lowest day in HEX, right?
And
That's right.
adoption amplifier.
Mm.
You know, I was kind of thinking about it just the other day. I was like, man, with these prices being so depressed, you know, and just kind of like it just looks like it's like, you know, right before the stream happened, there's like a little bit of a baby pump, and I'm like, oh, that makes me feel a bit better. But you know, watching the price go down and down and down, it's so draining. And I can only imagine, dude, I'm so bullish. Like I honestly do not plan on taking any profits until like 2025 bull run. But I can imagine other people who are brand new to the RH ecosystem, who are really new to crypto in general, because we onboarded a lot of no coiners into the sacrifice. I can imagine there's going to be a lot of people getting washed out just when they break even, because
Well, today is day 32, as you guys said earlier. I know a lot of people have just joined us. Today is day 32 of Pulse. And so it's, you know, anybody's guess as to whether we've already seen the lowest price that we're going to see for Pulse Chain. But when we look at HEX, day 33 was the lowest day we ever saw for HEX.
it's true.
And I agree with you guys that the market has been very daunting lately, with the price of Pulse having gone what? It went up like 2.5x stack rate and then fell down to 0.75 stack rate or something. Are my numbers roughly correct there?
I think so.
Okay. So those are big swings, right? Those are probably 60, 70% swings. And I remember when I was new into Bitcoin and Bitcoin went down 70%, I had to listen to the people on YouTube to keep my faith strong and to not weak-handed sell the bottom.
Sure.
And so, you know, that's even how one of the ways I found Richard Hart was by going through that bear market, going through that deep phase of price being down. And I was accumulating more during that time, just as I am now.
Well, do you think people have to experience it themselves at least once to really get it? Maybe that's
Experience
what's going
what?
on.
Selling the bottom or feeling down on the price?
Both. I think in some ways people have to experience to learn from it, because you know we try to tell people as much as possible, and we give out these, you know, commandments type stuff, like, you know, don't put more in than you can afford to lose, right? Well, then people put more in than they can afford to lose, right? We tell them that they've got to have a long time frame, multi-years, but then something goes wrong in one day, you know, and they're out, you know. I mean, all these different things. Until you actually see these types of cycles in action, how do you really learn? I mean, how do you build that muscle memory? You'd have to be like the smart, well, maybe not the smartest, most effective person ever to be able to take the experiences of other people and apply them, you know, in a way that works. I mean, some people, maybe they're doing it, but I mean, it took me several years to figure it out. So maybe I'm just below average. But
I noticed from my few years in the market, especially before HEX, one of the ways, like I saw a lot of people kind of coming into the crypto market because they saw the money signs in their eyes, and they thought that they can be a quick flipper, the Wolf of Wall Street type of trader real quick. And then the market just completely tanks on them. And now they're holding the bag and for a very long time, maybe a couple years. And I kind of felt like that was almost a good thing. It turns like people who come in as traders, and it makes them bag holders. And eventually it kind of turns them into long-term holders because they understand, well, hopefully they learn about like the cycles and how this stuff kind of oscillates, and it ebbs and it flows, at least with the coins that are not scams.
Yeah.
So looks like Matty rugged himself.
He
So
might,
I always kind of like looked at, like, I saw people come in and they bought some and then it tanks, and now they're kind of stuck in the market. And so I always felt that it was almost kind of a good thing, almost teaches these people to be patient or suffer a loss.
Sure. Well, here's I'll throw something out there to kind of underscore this. We're talking about this right now. There are people listening to us thinking, "Oh, everything's okay, and price is probably going to go up from here." But you know what? Price could drop 50% tomorrow or tonight,
Yes.
and I'm going to be okay with that.
Yes.
It's going to make me sick. I might pucker a little bit, but I mean, I may not be happy about it, but I'm going to be okay with it because it's a longer time frame that we have to stick this stuff out. You can't, it's not financial advice. Do what you want. Go buy a cup of coffee or stay for $1 million. I don't know which. But I think that you got to wait out these markets. That's it.
Can I give you guys an example?
Yes.
I would like you to give me an example.
So I've been trying to do a sentiment analysis because I do want to buy more when we're at the bottom of Pulse. But at the same time, I also realize that these prices are still good prices. And what I've noticed when I analyze my own buying in the past is, sure, I can say that I bought the local low of HEX back in January at 1.7 cents. I can say that I bought that, but I was also buying at 3 cents. I was also buying at 6 cents. I was also buying at 12 cents, right? And so I really think my strategy has been to try to be dynamic. And even if I look back at my first bear market, I bought Bitcoin all the way down. I started buying it at 2,500. Then I bought it at 6,000, 14,000. I bought it at 20,000. Then I bought it all the way back down at 16,000, then at 8,000, then at 6,000, then like 3,800, then 6,000, right? So, so I really think it's impossible to time the bottom. And where I'm at now is I've exhausted almost all of my dry powder, and that's not, that's not a statement on, how long I can last as my runway, right? But you guys will get a kick out of this. So I'm gonna start selling things. This is what I said when HEX was flirting with a penny back when it was before the split and Pulse Chain wasn't out yet. I was gonna start selling things, and I mean that very much, to where, like, if the price of Pulse keeps dipping, then I will go into the plan of selling more things. And if it goes straight up, then maybe I'll still sell those things, but there's not as much urgency, and I'm not going to ape it in. That being said, as well, I am ready to announce that after 2 years in retirement, I think I'm going to come out of retirement.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're gonna go back to work?
So, as you guys know, I was working as a therapist for 7 years, and I really enjoyed that work. What I'm planning on doing now is going to be what would be called coaching. And so I want to do coaching for a variety, and basically the way that I'm going to, I guess, explain it to people is longevity coaching. And so, it might be that you want to live until you're super, super old, but the other part of the longevity movement is that you're able to extend the peak experiences of your life, the peak functioning of your life. And so whether I'm helping people, coaching them to be able to sleep better, lose weight, quit smoking, improve their self-esteem, address like feeling down and mood problems and stuff like that. It's not allowed to be therapy per se, but the longevity coaching, I think it's a really good movement that I can work in, because things that people do to improve their wellness do end up making them live longer and healthier lives.
Sure.
I like it. I think that's awesome. You're helping other people too. Like, I mean, that's like the biggest thing, is that you're not just like sitting at your house all day on Twitter getting into arguments with people, and you're actually like, putting yourself out there and helping other people, and you're getting paid to do it. And I think that's really great.
You think you'll be doing that for a long time, Matty?
So the way I'm gonna roll it out is, in the next couple of days, I'm gonna publish a blog post, and it'll be explaining that it's basically a 12-week program where people are doing 30-minute individual coaching sessions every other week, and then every week they're doing a small group of like 10 to 12 people for 2 hours, and that'll give people the combination that I think will work best for them.
All right, perfect. Well, here's the thing I would say too, because you tied these two things together, wanting to DCA more and coming out of retirement. So I have something similar going on, where I'm doing some work with a side company for similar reasons, right? Have nothing to do with crypto, but yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, when you talk about financial independence and being able to maintain your financial independence, sure, one of the ways you can do that is by not spending money, but there's a limit to how low you can go. It's kind of like you can only go so low. You got to spend some money on something. And just like you were saying about selling, at least legally, there's a limit to how much you can sell. Right? I mean, there's only so much you have. There's only so many cars, so many possessions. But what you can do is create new funds, and this goes for any type of financial planning or budgeting, by taking on a side gig. Increasing your income by doing extra and more things, that type of stuff. So I really applaud that a lot. I like that.
The other thing that I wanted to make sure to report on as a part of like this whole longevity thing that, I'll mention from time to time, is that so far my stem cells just turned 4 weeks old.
Nice.
Okay. And yesterday was the first day I could go do a partial workout in the gym in 6 months.
Nice.
Wow. That's
now,
awesome.
Did you verify they were working in some way other than how you felt?
So I had gotten a really good baseline, because it was supposed to be better at 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And even 5 weeks ago, I couldn't do a 2 to 4 mile walk without experiencing the same type of clavicle pain that I was having. Then all of a sudden, now I can, and I can even lift 10-pound weights.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. I'm glad to hear that, Maddie.
It's working. Thanks. Really exciting. And so, I'll be able to share, I'll probably wait a couple more weeks to like verify that, my arm doesn't fall off. And then I can share with like the Hexakin community who's been following along. I can share, which clinic that I used to do the stem cells. And that way, if other people are wanting to do it, they can make that part of their health journey. Because you got to get your supply. It's not just like a decentralized exchange where like, you can trust you're getting a good batch of things. Like in the stem, seriously in the stem cell world, sometimes people pay thousands of dollars and they don't even get a good batch of active cells. So because they haven't been processed properly by the laboratory. So yeah, I know that there have been tons of people asking me whether the stem cells would work, and I kept telling them, I don't know yet. I'm waiting to see. I'm playing it safe, and so now that's another exciting thing to report. And yeah, what do you guys think about that?
I can see all the influencer videos now. We have hit a bottom indicator when other influencers are going back to work.
Yeah.
That is a bottom indicator. Yeah.
when people come out of retirement, that is a bottom indicator.
I hope so.
It's so funny though that you said that you're starting to sell stuff, because I am too.
Really?
Yeah, actually, I just got my my Cadillac. I sent it down to the shop to get it like kind of in condition. I had I want the mechanic to kind of go through it, make sure nothing's like brittle, or any lines are bad, because it's been sitting for a while, and I want to get it ready for sale, get it prepped for sale. And the mechanic called me. He's like, "Hey man, there's someone here that might want to buy it already." I'm like, "Okay." So
wow,
it's just so funny. I'm like, "Yeah," and that is going to be a big payday, because it's a 1969 Cadillac. If anyone wants me to post a picture,
is it pink?
Let me know. I'll post a picture
Is it pink?
on Twitter.
Is
it is
pink?
not pink. It is not pink. It's like
okay.
like a baby blue. It's pretty cool though. So yeah, so that I might be selling that pretty soon, and that might be another bottom indicator. That is actually, I'll tell you the truth, that Cadillac is one of my biggest financial regrets, because I bought it in 2016, and I had been accumulating like Bitcoin from 2013, and I was getting bored, because like Bitcoin did its like major pump at the end of 2013, and then it just did a decline for like the next like 4 years, and I was getting bored in 2016, and so I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna buy a cool car. I'm not gonna buy Bitcoin. I should have bought Bitcoin instead of that car.
wow.
That's my story. So I'm like,
well, maybe you'll make up for it. Maybe you'll make up for it by buying a bottom instead of selling a bottom.
Exactly. And that's like a lesson that I want to impart on everyone listening, is that these markets are extremely cyclic, and they will come back. If you're in a good coin, it will come back. And so just like don't get too like fudded out by things taking a long time. It could take, I don't know, 100 weeks to shake out all the people who sacrificed with malintention.
I could see Pulse and everything else going a lot lower than we are right now, just based on sentiment. Not enough people are crying, not enough people are quitting and like calling their mom and saying that Richard hurt them and stuff.
Hey Maddie, your audio is getting a little
is it wrecked
weird
again?
Oh, I don't know. It sounds good now.
Test. I am
it's going in and out just a little bit, but it's still you're still good.
Okay, well, let me know how it progresses.
We can see you just fine, Maddie.
Oh, okay. Good. Do you see this bear behind me?
Yeah, it's right on the top of your head. It's perfect.
There's bears in these hills.
There are.
I saw somewhere in the comments. Let me see if I can find it. Sandy doesn't have a hood. Yes, Sandy, it does have a hood.
I know hood.
I guess, I don't know. I can't find the comment I saw earlier.
You got the LCD lights or no?
No, it's pretty old school.
So it doesn't have that neon glow, huh? That's too bad. Not
so
configured.
Maddie, you're going back to work as a therapist. I was just wondering if you had an opinion. Excuse me. Richard made a tweet earlier this week that was. Say it again.
We cannot hear you.
You're gonna get me in so much trouble. Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying that I already sold my mic. So I am not doing therapy. What I'm doing is not therapy because that would be illegally crossing state lines.
Okay.
What I'm doing as somebody who used to be a therapist is I'm doing coaching, and there's like a number of like ethical principles and whatnot that I have to adhere to stay on the right like line of the law, so to speak. But definitely still something that can be helpful for people.
Yeah, same with the financial coaching.
I was just kind of wondering about your opinion on Richard's anti-suicidal tweet, because he made that tweet saying that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And I was just kind of wondering, like, what were your thoughts about that? Because I thought that was really great that he did that.
Yeah. So somebody had joked about it, and that had upset some people on Twitter, that somebody had started off the first half of their tweet pretending like they were suicidal and then saying, oh, it's really not that bad, let's all get along. But I think people found that to still be hurtful and scary to be fooled by the first half of that tweet about suicide. And then I believe that there was another one where somebody literally was starting to feel suicidal. And I'm not sure if they linked it to the price or if they were just linking it to their own life circumstances. But we've seen Richard tweet before in support of people's mental health, replying to people specifically who need cheering up and that sort of thing. And so I was really pleased that he did it, even though I saw some of the replies were not kind. I replied and added a list of international numbers to call for suicide prevention hotlines. So,
yeah, I liked Richard's response. I didn't feel at the moment I had anything more to add, so I didn't put anything up, but I saw your numbers up there. I thought it was good because I know it's cliche, and I know that you probably have heard this discussion before, but in a lot of ways, you can decide how you're going to feel. And now it's hard to do that as a skill set, and I haven't mastered it. but I know there are times when I can just simply decide that there are things that are outside of my control, and I can be happy in the situation I have, right? And that there is hope for the future because there's other things you can do, and you don't have to just be in a negative place, right? Anyways, so I do subscribe to that idea, and I think it's good to remind people because sometimes things are a little dark,
If I don't know if you guys remember, about a year ago, I did an episode where I started saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool if people who signed up to say that they were willing to call a suicide hotline, wouldn't it be cool if those people were airdropped a little bit of pulse coins just from somebody who was observing that behavior and liked that behavior? And I believe that small amount of like pulse coins actually did go out to about like 20 or 25 people who had signed up for that movement. So yeah, you guys know me. I'm really excited when people are linking the two topics of crypto and mental health, I think that sometimes crypto can be bad for your mental health, but I think it has, as programmable money and as a community of real people, we have the opportunity to make the best of the ups and downs that we're weathering together.
Yeah, and I'd also, bring. I would also say to the people that just like to be doomers, your words do affect people. So if you're just being like negative, just because like you're a glass half empty kind of person, like maybe think about it. Like I don't know. Let's try and be positive. Look at I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I try to be at least.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of those people, particularly later in life. I'm a very strong believer in, the five rule or the five closest people type of theory. ATX talks about this a lot on his streams, but just the idea that you're like the average of the top five people that you hang around with, right? And whether you're interacting with them online or otherwise. And at times with work, I got to deal with certain people, and they could be super negative. But in real life, man, if you're negative, Nelly, I don't have time for you, man. I really don't. I mean, I put up with you, Bruce, but every, but I mean, just like, I'm joking. You're a very positive guy generally. I think, I mean, I don't need that negativity in my life, and I don't need the stress and the strife. I could choose to spend time with somebody who wants to bring everybody down, or I could choose time with you guys on a Tuesday night and bring everybody up, and I know which way I'm going to go. So.
Those people that bring you down, send them my way or to a local coaching or therapy situation. I think, feeling down and depressed, it's something that it can be changed, but it takes a little bit of work.
Yeah. Well, there's a big difference between somebody who's feeling down and somebody who's negative, I think, in my mind, right? Because I know some people that everything's negative all the time. Those are the people I avoid. But if somebody wants to have a discussion and help, yeah, of course, Go to you, go to other people,
Here's a super chat from Nikki B. Thanks for the $99.99 super chat. You said, just my thoughts. Several big centralized exchange listings of RH coins recently. Listings are almost always a sell the news event. Takes some time to digest. Bottom is likely in, if not soon. Great show as always, fellows. Yeah, thanks for paying the bills on StreamYard. Appreciate it.
Yeah, listings usually are sell the news events, right? It's buy the rumor, sell the news. I've never seen the charts skyrocketing after a listing. Usually, a listing is just like you're just saying, hey, this is where you go for if you want to exit.
Well, we've had a short, an exchange where people can now short the price of HEX, right, and other assets, and that typically is a short-term negative for price, because people are starting to speculate, with derivatives, which are essentially paper versions of the asset instead of having to buy the actual asset itself every time and just sell. Now you have people short selling. So yeah. So that's something, it doesn't last forever. That type of down pressure. But how do we know this? Because the CME launch, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, when they introduced paper Bitcoin derivatives, shorting, that kind of thing, that was the day of the top in, what was it, 2017, and then it took quite a while for the market to recover. And then in 2021, there was another listing. There was another paper Bitcoin that came around called Coinbase shares. And the day that they IPO'd was the day of the top. And so that's it's pretty cool to be able to see, like, oh, okay. So even though there was a top in 2017 that was $20,000. Bitcoin fell all the way down to 3,800, and then boom, it shot all the way up to 65, 69,000, somewhere in there. So
remember the guy from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange thing? He said, "We will tame Bitcoin."
Yeah,
he sure did.
When they want to tame Ethereum, I can sell them the domain name cme.eth. I've got that in my store of things to sell, so that we can buy the dip here.
Yeah, I remember when they got listed on the CME whatever, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is not good." I'm like, "How can it be bad? They're gonna have to buy Bitcoin in order to list it for sale or whatever." And I'm like, apparently not.
Because what was the next big news event after that? That was the big thing. So there wasn't any next big thing for people to hold on to.
Yep, and then what happens? People start getting bored after like 10 minutes, and they go, "Where's the next big thing? Nothing big is coming. Sell."
And they buy Cadillacs.
Sell. Buy Cadillac.
They get bored and buy Cadillacs.
That's true.
Counts
You're
for
buying
money.
Cadillacs.
Driving Cadillacs in our dreams.
Some people are asking about the coaching. I'm gonna put it on my blog, so it'll be in the next probably day or two at mattieallen.medium.com. And I'm gonna make a special domain name for it too, but I haven't linked it yet.
Nice.
And can I address one small thing? I saw Crypto Class. She was making fun of me about taking my car to a mechanic. I know how to work on cars. Okay.
Do you?
I do, but I just don't have a lot of room in my garage, and this is a gigantic car. and I want a professional to go through this particular one. So I do know how to work on cars.
There's nothing wrong with not being able to work on a car.
No, there is something wrong with that.
Correct.
No, you can. No, I think it's important. I know. I think it's important to be able to do the standard things, like being able to change a flat tire. That's important. But yeah, I get that a lot from people too, because I take mine to the shop. They're like, "Can't you do it all yourself?" I probably could. You're right.
I could, but do I want to?
Let me tell you, the one time I stripped that bolt on the head, that was it, man.
I have one. I was replacing the valve covers on my car, and it said 12 inches per square centimeter.
Oh,
and I put the torque wrench on there and put 12 inches per or 12 feet per inch instead of per centimeter. And I snapped that thing right off. I'm like, bro, it didn't even get to 12. My buddy was like, you tried to apply 10 times the amount of pressure it recommended. I was like, oh yeah.
I wish somebody would 10x the price of Pulse right now.
Okay, we're on it. We're on it, Maddie. Everybody buy. We probably big enough movement, we could do that.
I mean, if we're going back to talking about like what are some things to look forward to, I would certainly look forward to Richard doing a live stream. I'm not expecting it. I'm not counting on it, but that'd be pretty cool. I think that he's maybe I think that him not streaming has allowed people to FUD themselves out, and the more people that FUD themselves out, the higher the price can go. If the people who were accumulating the coins are long-term believers or are attracted to the high APY of being a validator, or maybe here's one Pumpumental. Time Pays Me just went to audit today again.
I heard a rumor about that.
I was totally surprised at how many people liked that tweet. Seems like the idea is taking off. This idea of being able to time lock your Pulse Chain and Pulse X tokens, and
hey, listen, I don't know how many people will admit it, but there have been some degen activities going on. Some people got rinsed, and
what's been happening?
Well, because you suddenly had this big pile of stuff. You start ratio trading and you start moving stuff around, and you think one thing's going on, something else goes on. Next thing you know, you're down 40%. So I had one of my things go bad. I won't give you any details, but you know, so it was small percent, but it hurt me. I was like, damn it, I knew better, but I did it anyway. So I'm sure there's some other people, and so blocking it up would help. Go ahead, Bruce.
Should we talk about the 800-pound whale in the room?
Well, let me just finish the brief update on Time Pays Me.
Yes,
so
please.
I had acknowledged the rumor that, you know, I've been building this for 11 months, and I'm super stoked that it finally went back to audit for hopefully the last time. But the auditors are being really cool, and even because we rewrote much of the code to make it optimal, and but they're charging half off of what they would charge, basically because I had already paid for a full audit. And then on top of that, they're going to put it at the beginning, at the front of the work queue. And so we should have the audit back by Friday or Monday.
Oh, that's awesome.
And,
I was thinking by July.
So here's the thing. My birthday is coming up in 11 days, and go.tshare.app, its birthday is coming up in 11 days, and it's going to be 2 years old. I'm not going to say exactly how old I am, but I would be really thrilled if Time Pays Me had the same birthday as me and TShare.app. And so that's what we're going to try to do, I think.
That's awesome.
Really excited about that.
If I can just say, it was my birthday this week as well.
No way. Happy birthday, Brisology.
Thank you, guys.
Happy birthday, Brisology.
Did you do anything special for yourself?
I just hung out with my family. So
that's good.
Nothing too crazy. Not really interested in celebrating how old I am anymore. You know, just like, whatever. So what's up with that whale selling?
So there's an 800-pound whale in the room?
Yeah, he sold like 800 million hex, I heard.
Sold or transferred to a scam project?
Yeah, I heard he put it into a sacrifice, and now the guy's making thank you everybody for that, for the birthday wishes.
Yeah.
And happy birthday to you, Maddie, if it happens before our next meetup. Or you said it was whatever. But the whale, right? He sent it to the sacrifice, and then the guy at Lance, he was like, hey, you know, we don't want to sell this down forever. We don't want to hurt the price, which was very weird wording. What do you guys initially think?
Yeah, I'll tell you one observation. Though I'm not endorsing, you know, side projects like liquid loans and whatnot. However, I would like to point out that liquid loans made it very clear they would accept no hex and did not, to avoid this specific situation. And that was and they actually came out and had said that at the time, you know. And so I definitely, maybe I didn't understand it then, but I definitely respect that idea now, that, you know, they did not take hex, because it does set up a situation. I don't know whether the project's a scam or not, Bruce, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I hear people talk
Yeah,
about
I don't know
BankX.
either.
I'm not involved in it. I don't have any details. So I don't know if the guy's scamming. I don't know if they're not scamming. But let's take a step back. It doesn't forget about whether it's a scam. Even if it's a real project, if they were taking funds to fund it, the idea was it was going to be funded. And the only way they can make the payment unless they pay people with HEX is to sell the HEX. Right? I mean, what else can they do if they are actually going to use it for some sort of expense? Now, again, I don't know.
Lance mentioned some kind of staking strategy, but
Look,
again, it's like, what do you
I
do
met these
after it's staked?
guys
You have
at
to
the
sell it.
Pulse chain, the Pulse Con, right? Where people got conned into paying for an event that didn't end up being fully funded.
I was
It
at
was
that party with you.
it was Tony, Tony was the guy who had helped me with the meetup, and he decided to break off and do his own thing and start embezzling from other people. So I had caught him embezzling from my HEX conference, and that's when we parted ways. And then he decided to create Pulse Con, and everybody pretty much knows how that went. Now, BankX was one of the people that supposedly they were doing a party, they were hosting a party at the same time as the PulseCon, and that was I think it was in the middle of September, or maybe early September. So I met this guy, Lance Parker, and I told him right to his face, and I reported back to the lovely people on YouTube that this is a scam. This makes no sense. You don't have a stable coin backed by silver and call it crypto, because crypto is all about self-custody. That's the point of crypto. And so if somebody else is holding a silver IOU for you, that's not crypto. Period. End of story. Now, why he would need $10 million to start a silver-backed stablecoin is also unexplainable. But that is the amount that he set as the upper limit of his sacrifice. Now, I can't help but wonder if Godwell was like upset or something. I mean, because like this isn't. I mean, it kind of seems like the market is deciding basically what's going on with EHEX versus PHEX. And I believe Richard had just tweeted like 30 minutes before Godwell started sending that 830 million EHEX only to BankX. And so I don't think Richard's tweet was conclusive to say that the market had decided forever.
True.
I saw it as just him reporting as what had happened so far, that the ratio had reached 1 to 1.3 in terms of PHEX being more valuable. But look, I don't think it really matters at the end of the day, because even if you have BankX dump it all on the market, people have limit orders set. That's going to be a beautiful thing. Even if they sell slowly over a long period. I mean, look, we have seen a lot of people try to do an over-the-counter trade. At least 2 or 3 groups. There were rumors that the Maximus DAO guys wanted to do an over-the-counter deal, as did Alex from Hedron and different people. So I think that, looking back, I think that there was even a buying opportunity there that I wasn't able to jump into, but I know a lot of people who jumped into that EHEX trade.
What do you mean by jump into it?
A lot of people were like buying the dip on EHEX, and I think I saw people post that they ended up, making 20 or 30%, maybe more, from that trade. So
yeah, sure.
Congrats to everybody who held up the price.
Yeah. I can't remember the point I was going to bring up.
Oh, but like, yeah, I mean, BankX being a scam, being a silver-backed stablecoin, really, why didn't they need a sacrifice? Why do they need a set of users to like airdrop something if they're being a stablecoin?
Yeah, backing a crypto by real world assets doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's like the exact opposite of crypto. It's like You know, like, you might as well just go buy like a stock. You might as well just go buy silver shares on the
just go buy
stock
silver.
market, or just buy actual silver. You know, so I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I've never the point of cryptos is that they don't need to be backed by real world assets. They really don't.
Well, that being said, I think one of the best things that could happen, I'd like to see it happen, would be for them to get out of HEX. That's what I'd like to see them do.
Yeah, that
And
would be very cool.
now, short term, if it's not over the counter, it could hurt the price. But I also think that would be very positive.
Yeah.
To drive the price down. And so I subscribe to a brilliant guy out there who's very controversial, right? Silver the Antidote.
Hey,
Right?
Silver.
So I think about, you know, I interact sometimes with Silver and watch what he's talking about and whatnot. And I don't know that he's right about everything 100%, but I do know that he knows markets and how things work. And in general, right, he's saying, hey, listen, we got to step forward as a community. If you want EHEX to survive in a way that's usable for everyone, actually not just EHEX, because they're so tightly connected. You know, it's not even, you know, if you even thought one was going to die, they're all dying. So it's not even that. But if you would like a better situation on EX, and the community has to get around that, you know, rally around and buy out the whales, buy them out. And what better time to do that than when the price is extremely low, right? Because, you know, people who want to get involved and do that. Now, of course, any of you and you guys and I'm guessing because Bruce said he wasn't the God will, that he can't do it. But I mean, you know, we don't have the financial maybe the financial wherewithal to go do that. But there are some players that could. But as a group, we could support that idea. The danger, of course, is we move in that direction of accumulating EHEX is perhaps the market moves against you, right? In the short run. But you know, a lot of things that I'm seeing and others have talked about as well is that things that look like they're stabilizing pretty good, you know. So
Now,
it's not a bad idea.
one of the game theories that Richard built into Hex, and it looks like it's working pretty fabulous right now, is that Richard wanted to create new whales, and he wanted to keep out the old whales, the old money from taking over Hex with large sums of money. And it works both ways, where when he creates new whales, it also prevents them from running off with all the money by having the thinner liquidity books. So, you know, the thin liquidity is, I think, game theory on how to keep big money from taking over and just like running off. It lets all the smaller retail guys get in first and kind of build it up. And then once it has enough backing from all the small retail guys, then the big guys can come in and pad the wallets of everyone that's already inside the system. But, you know, if something like this happens where maybe like, a giant whale in the system gets upset and they want to give all their money to a bad actor, you know, it's the bad actors are gonna hit a lot of slippage before running off with the money, I think.
I mean, it could be some like brilliant master game theory by the God Will to
True.
make the market uncertain about EHEX. So I think, it's still up to us to, talk about the theory, what are the possibilities, and then, not really assume anything that we can't say for certain off of analyzing the blockchain.
Is this true, ChrispyMan?
It's absolutely true. Give me liberty or give me hex, said it. It's true.
Hey, what's up? Give me liberty. Good to see you there.
Yeah, I don't dispute that. If you can successfully time the market consistently, you probably could be more profitable. But that means calling tops and bottoms. And I may try my hand at it someday, but right now I'm staking 99%.
Time in the market
Actually,
is better.
I had some stakes come out. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with them. What do you recommend? I've got a stake that was on both chains, and now I have my HEX. What do I do with it?
So I'm kind of in the same situation. I was kind of like, honestly, I plan on migrating most of my economic weight over to the Pulse chain. I just don't want to really be on Ethereum anymore. Simple as that.
Okay.
So right now, I got all my monthly stakes, and I don't want to put each one through the bridge one by one and accrue 6, fees every month, or one fee for for the next 6 months. So my plan was basically restaking my EHEX. Like, so I just got one that just came due here in June. I'll probably restake it for 6 months until December. I got another one coming out in July. Maybe I'll restake that one for 5 months, come out in December. And then in December, I'll have a big accumulated pile. And then maybe I'll send that over the bridge all at once. That was kind of my initial plan, but I'm not 100% on that just yet. But that's what I'm thinking also. And, maybe we'll be closer to a 1-to-1 ratio with the EHEX to PHEX. So if I convert it, I can get, a better rate.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe. That's a gamble.
Sure. Well, there's some of the stuff gets to be more advanced than I can even think out in my head. But I mean, even if you do take your EHEX and take a loss on it by selling it, potentially, right? Because you might have been at a higher price. Might be some benefits to doing that in order to get more PX. But I'm still leaning pretty heavy on participating on both sides.
Yeah.
It's just feels like that's the right way at the moment. But I can respect doing a wholesale move if somebody really wants to do that. I mean, now why that would be helpful to me is then, at least for a period of time, I get higher APY.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I was like, I really like, all my TShares. So, one of the things I was kind of thinking about, I'm like, yeah, if I convert my EHEX into PHEX, I'm gonna lose a bunch of hex, right? In the conversion process. But then I kind of started reframing it in my head. I'm like, well, I'm still retaining the same amount of value. If you send over $100, the $100 is on the other side. It's just you get less individual coins.
Yeah, but you get more TShares on Pulse Chain.
Well, yeah, I would get more if I just
Correct.
left them on the E chain.
On the Ethereum side.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably because that 30% difference or whatever it is right now, the trend.
Yeah. Because you pay for them in hex. It's not USD value.
Well, yeah, if he's converting his hex on Ethereum over to hex on Pulse Chain, then you'll be getting less TShares, but the underlying value of like what is hex worth on that chain is up to the future market to decide.
Yeah. It's so transient though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be so different.
So
I'm going to stick around for the 100% APY on ETH.
Sweet. And there's probably going to be a lot of other people who stick around with you. Now we've got a super chat here from Crypto Keeper, who said that he saw some footage of my meetup in Las Vegas that I did on short notice the other day. So yeah, definitely. I'm planning to continue to do more meetups. I'm not sure if you're a time traveler yourself and that's what you're referring to, but I've got a couple meetups up my sleeve, you could say. So that should be finding out about that soon. I would actually like to break the world record that I already hold for the largest HEX meetup. I'd like to see that this fall, or later this summer, somewhere in there. So stay tuned for that. And then you're also asking with your $5 super chat for people who are new, what is the best way to buy Pulse today? And for me, I really like the onboarding method of going dollars in your bank account to Coinbase or Gemini. If you're a brand new person, you're able to buy USDC on Coinbase without paying a transaction fee. Then somebody can set up their MetaMask wallet, write down the 12 words that they're never going to share with anybody, and then they can transfer that USDC straight to their MetaMask address, their public address there. And then, and sometimes that Coinbase process, sometimes that'll take 5 to 10 days to process because they don't want people hacking into your bank account and removing all the money, running away with the crypto. So unfortunately, there's a little bit of a time barrier there, but some people get verified very quickly and they can onboard faster than that. But that's pretty typical.
Customers doing chargebacks.
Correct.
I think I also heard. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Maddie. I was just going to mention Coast tomorrow.
Yeah. So what I'd say is then what the person's looking to do is probably on MetaMask, then they would switch from the Ethereum network. Well, they would go in their MetaMask browser to pulsechain.com and they would add that network to their MetaMask. And so now they can take the USDC and load in a little bit of Ethereum, maybe like $40 of Ethereum. Now they're ready to use the bridge.pulsechain.com on the Pulse Chain side of the network. So you're switching the network from Ethereum to Pulse Chain. Oh, wait. Sorry, you're using the Ethereum side when you're bridging to Pulse Chain. So you stay on the Ethereum side, you go to the website, bridge.pulsechain.com, and then you send the USDC over. It takes about 15 minutes for it to show up as USDC from Ethereum on the Pulse Chain side. And then now this is the only tricky part where you have to find a way to get a little bit of Pulse so that you can do the transaction to convert your Pulse, to convert your USDC from Ethereum into Pulse. And to do that, you might be using one of these alternate onboarding methods. Many of those new exchanges, I think like OKX is going to be supporting in the future or something. ChangeNow.io, I think is going to support it here in the next few days. Or if you know somebody who can send you $2 worth of Pulse, that'll get the job done. If you even get like 5,000 Pulse coins. Yes, guys.
If I can interject, instead of sending the USDC through the bridge, once it's inside your MetaMask, you could swap it for wrapped Pulse. And then when you send the wrap Pulse through the bridge, it'll
I think that gives you a bad deal. Last time I looked at it, it gave you a bad deal. So if you looked at it and more recently than I did, and it gave you a good deal.
How about the gas? How about the gas bridge?
Yeah, I think like Change Now is like the easiest thing to recommend because it's been around for so many years. I think that what you're saying, I think I actually have a link to it in the description below. The what did you call it, ChrispyMan?
The official Pulse Chain gas bridge, right?
Oh, there's an official one now. Okay, I don't have that in the show notes.
I haven't used it, but it's over. It's over there off that. We actually grab that link, right?
Because the whole idea is you want to be swapping in the most liquid exchange that you can find. You don't want to eat a bunch of slippage, and so look, if you wanted to buy Bitcoin for a penny or for 50 cents, you had to send a money order to Japan. Not the easiest thing to do compared to buying Bitcoin on Coinbase these days. Just like, you were early, if you were buying the more complicated method back then of Bitcoin, today I can imagine a world in the future where buying Pulse Chain is easier and that could cause the price to be higher. if it's easier for people to buy it.
Yeah, you get a couple of super chats there, but before we go off there, there's also the Coast guys, right? Coast is launching at least
Zero X Coast.
Yeah, Zero X Coast. They're launching their fiat on-ramp in the U.S. tomorrow for Ethereum on the Ethereum chain. Now, what does that mean exactly? Got to go check out what their details. Go to their Twitter and Telegram to get the up-to-date details. Their website, but pretty soon, right? That should be a methodology we'll be able to use as well to get right from.
I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
Cool. Yay for building things. So there's a $5 super chat here from El Deuce. Greetings, gents. Validator related question. Can you set up YR validator via Wi-Fi, or does it have to be hardwired into the modem? Thanks in advance.
It does not have to be hardwired, but of course you can get a faster, better connection being hardwired, generally speaking, right? Usually speaking. You might want to do more research on it, but no, you can, as long as the machine you're using has Wi-Fi, you can do it.
Usually less problems with the hardwire Ethernet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Cool. And then Hex Holmes with the Australian $15 super chat. What do you guys think about the bottom being in or not, pending the FOMC? That's the Federal Reserve meeting.
Yeah,
Kramer yelling sell. That's borderline verification that the price would go up. Trust in the Kramer indicator, which is a reverse indicator.
Yeah, I'm very pro Kramer indicator. So
that it's an inverse.
Yeah, 100%. So you know, listen, I've watched him for a long time. You know, even before.
How does he get it wrong so consistently? It doesn't make
because he
sense.
Operates off of emotions just like everybody else, right? Sometimes he's right, but it's pretty rare.
I think it's like he leads, the masses, and so the masses start, moving into whatever he says to move into, or they move out of it, and then the big guys at the top who can see everything, they just see all the movements, and they go, all right, this one is now cheap because we got our Kramer guy to tell everyone to get out of it, and we buy. And then it just starts going up just as everyone's getting out, or if he says, hey, everybody buy, Behrman Lehman stock or whatever it was, people start going into it. And then the big guys, because they can see everything, they go, all right, it's time to get out of this one. And so, and then I kind of think like his show is almost it's like a reverse indicator for, and and the thing is, like, I think if people start doing the reverse of everything he says, then his indicators will start becoming right again. You know what I mean? Everyone starts leaving it. If he says to get into it, it's gonna start going up.
Yeah, you're funny. Maybe so. I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, I think more to the point, you cut Kramer out. My viewpoint is we are in our second year of a 4-year cycle. We now entered nearly the second half of the 4-year cycle. Yeah. We use them to dump the bags. We're nearly in the second half of the second year of the 4-year cycle. And so, and the numbers that I'm observing, I think we're past, quote unquote, the bottom. But that doesn't mean that we can't see a lower low. So it's just that I recognize that we're probably going up into the right sideways for a while, and with lots of volatility in general in the market.
Yeah, I've always said, from my past experience in the crypto markets, I've always seen the market flare up about 6 months before the Bitcoin halving, which happens in just a little less than a year from now. So that means maybe around December we could start seeing the market really get pretty wild. I'm guessing my guess is that we see another 3 months of like crab market and kind of maybe going down a little bit, and then probably around like September or so we start creeping up, just like
I prefer lobster, but
lobster.
Hey,
Rock
well,
lobster.
a lot of people talk about something similar, but and of course it's all anecdotal. I mean, some people do have some pretty good TA, but 6 months before the halving is September, right? Roughly September, October.
Okay.
So, I mean, it could be like you said, maybe, and then some others have called for September as being, liftoff. Axis Alive, if I'm not mistaken, has theorized that maybe when we see, air.
Yeah. And then I always found that like 6 months up to the actual happening, people kind of like it's pretty stagnant. And then at the happening, nothing, there's no like confetti going off around everybody. So everyone's like, what happened? Like, did anything happen? No. Sell. They start getting bored. They start dumping it down.
I want my money.
Yeah.
Where's my money, Briz?
I heard this happening was going to make Bitcoin 10 times more expensive. And then people get bored and they start selling down the price again. And then about a few months after that, the markets tend to correct again. So, like I said, we could see probably another couple months of this ugly market, and maybe around Christmas time we actually get a nice little pump. I don't know, maybe that's just kind of like what's that quote? Past performance does not indicate
indicative of
future.
future.
Yeah,
future results. Yeah, I'll tell you all the stuff I'm watching lines up with this is DCA time. But this is the time to be DCAing. And now financial advice: don't put more money in than you can afford to lose. But if you're able to at least delay gratification for 2 years, this would be an awesome time to take a lottery ticket out in the form of crypto. I mean, that's kind of how we all got into it when we started, right? Learned some things about it. And I can't believe this is a third cycle now for me, but you begin to at least believe that there's cycles, right? At some point.
That's my favorite sentence in the English language.
Chris is right. But he did say though at the end. Yeah. All right. I'm ready, Maddie. What do you want to do? I want. This whole thing's incredible already. So I don't know.
So you guys are asking me like what I think the price is going to do?
I don't know. What do you want to talk? What do you want to talk about? Have we exhausted the idea that without giving price predictions that we think Pulse is going to go 10,000x or what? I mean, I got a chart. I made a chart.
I predict I'm going to keep dollar cost averaging until the bottom, and it's going to keep hurting probably more. I predict that I will be really happy when the price goes up, and those positive emotions, people, the best advertisement for crypto is green candles. So I predict that'll happen. I predict that people are going to use Time Pays Me to time lock even like a fraction of their tokens. And then once they get done trying to time the market through enough oopsies and bear traps and dead cat bounces and bull traps and all that good kind of stuff, then they might really appreciate being time locked, because it can you can breathe a sigh of relief if you don't have to do anything.
Is it okay? You mind if I mention something that I'm working on with Axis?
Please go for it.
It's not a hard shell, but we are doing a course. We're putting a course together with Sloth and IND. But it's really our 3 approaches to DCing into this bull, when, what kind of indicators you might use to decide when to stop coming in with new funds, and then also when to start looking at taking profits. And not a wholesale like dump on everybody's head type of thing. We're talking about like having a plan. Like, what is your plan for crypto? Is your plan to get completely out? Well, that's not what I suggest, but I mean, maybe people think that way. But but how do you set yourself up so that in 2024, 2025 at the latest, you have what you need planned and set up to make it to 27, right? And so that you can actually do that work and have that plan put in place. Anyways, we're going to be working on some stuff like that. You just reminded me of that when you were talking about it. It's kind of like the Holy Grail, right? To be able to figure out, when the top is range so that you can take profits, right? Without getting wrecked.
Yes. Yeah.
True. Yeah, I wish I would have waited on buying some of these dips that I bought. Like I saw that 50 cents and I'm like 40 cents. Oh my gosh, that's a big drop. I'm like, buy. And 30 cents. I'm like, oh my gosh, it can't go lower than that. Buy. 20 cents. Oh, man, that hurts, but buy.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as it hits 10 cents, I'm all, the second it goes below 10, dude, I'm all on it. 9 cents, buy. I'm like, son of a, and like now we're down here at like one cent, and I'm like, I'm not gonna buy you. I'm not gonna buy you at 1 cent.
I followed it all the way up and all the way down too. Buys. I can honestly say I have buys at every level. But that being said, I also learned a lot from that, right?
Yeah.
And so let's go the other way with it, right? Like right now, you have an opportunity to get in pretty cheap on all this stuff, and I kind of envision a future time where I don't care what the price is. I have enough, so much that it doesn't matter in terms of tokens, right? And that's a possibility, right? To get to that level with enough compounding and building. I mean, throughout actually, I guess I've been doing it nonstop since 2017, nearly compounding and buying every single day. Nearly.
You guys want to know a cool game that I play?
Yeah.
In bear markets.
Oh, I thought you were going to say in bed. I didn't want to hear that one. In bear markets, go ahead.
In bear markets, what I do is I think of a number that sounds really cool in my head, and then I try to get to that many tokens or coins. And I did this with HEX, and I was like, oh, this is a cool number. And then I bought that many, even though it hurt, even when it was dipping, all that good kind of stuff. And then, so I mean, it can be any number you want, but if it's something that's like just attainable and you're not putting in more than you're willing to lose, and you're making an opportunity out of meat being left on the bone, then you can have a feast.
That's a good way to look at it. Set a number and just try to achieve that goal. And then that way, every time the price goes down, you're like, yeah, I can get to my goal a little bit easier.
Yes.
I like that.
I've been loving it, man. I mean, it's.
Do you guys keep track of how many tokens you have?
Oh, hell yeah.
You know the exact number?
Yeah. The problem is, like, I got mine spread across multiple wallets. So I gotta go through the wallets, and then like I gotta switch the networks, and I'm like counting them all up. I'm like, and my calculator, and
yeah, that's how it's done.
But you gotta keep track of this stuff, otherwise.
And you have to have a sense of what's important about it too, I mean, in terms of value, too easy to discard value with it. Yeah, that's why I always, with the coaching that I do, it's always about making sure you understand your numbers in the first place. You know, it helps set expectations and kind of manage those expectations.
My prediction: 3 more months, guys. Wait 3 more months.
Do it.
We might get some. That's just a prediction. I don't know. It's probably not going to be right.
I mean, is morale so low? I've been in the mountains where I have just a tiny drip of Twitter every once in a while.
That's why your morale is higher.
Has it been rough out there?
Yeah, it's a little rough on the Twitters, you know.
Yeah, Pulse is a little rough. Yeah, I mean, Twitter's a little rough. Yeah.
But who's rage quitting? Who's super upset? Who's losing the faith?
Oh, dude, there's so many psyops going on, even like in your chats here, everywhere. People just playing games, you know, because, and, you know, when you let it get to you, it can make you mad. It makes me mad sometimes, but I, you know, just pretty much ignore it because the name of the game is to get us to FUD out. That's it. FUD out.
Crypto is a game of attrition, as many streamers
say.
say.
Yeah, war of attrition.
I call it war of musical chairs.
So the biggest barrier for me to be able to judge what the sentiment of the market is being able to read my own emotions as the person perceiving everybody else's. So, for example, if I'm more positive because my life is going well and the price is dipping, it's really hard for me to measure how everybody else is feeling because I'm feeling a positive bias. And so, and it's like, I've noticed, and you guys may have noticed this too, that each bear market hurts a little bit less.
Yes, because you are learning. You learn over time. You're practicing, and you learn from the practice. You get better at it.
My skin is getting thicker, and my, you know, just all of my skills are evolving, and so I think that's why it's really helpful to have such a deep pool of people who are always new at streaming, where it's their first cycle, right? When you know how many cycles somebody's been in. If you look at Tobiwan, I mean, I don't watch this stuff anymore, but there was a while during the depths of the bear market that I was watching his stream, and he's really consistent, and he's been through a lot of cycles, and maybe he's lost his way now, but I think that when we're paying attention to our own emotional bias and then also taking into account other people's, then it's a little bit easier to say, hey, now's the time for me to sell that thing or to take on this extra work and be able to ape it in, which at the end of the day for me ends up looking a lot like a DCA. It's just that I've arranged things in my life where I don't sell everything all at once because I don't want to buy all at once because I want to keep buying if the price goes down. And then if the price stops going down, like it did when HEX went from what HEX was sitting around like 3 cents, at the end of last summer, maybe. And then it went all the way down to, 6 months ago or at the beginning of the year, it went all the way down to 1.7. I mean, morale was really bad then. Everybody's getting fudded up at the SEC. Just red candles getting printed everywhere, uncertainty about whether Pulse Chain was going to come out, depths of the bear market for the rest of crypto. So,
yeah, from my past experiences, I've been notoriously bad at selling. Like I do not take enough profits in the bull runs just because I get just so exuberant,
euphoric
that I'm just like, man, this party ain't ever stopping. And so like I said, I bought my first crypto Bitcoin in 2013, and I hit that bull run, and then I rode it all the way down into the bear. And by time the next bull run started, I had more money than I had at the beginning of the previous bull run. And then the same thing happened in 2017. I rode that one all the way up, and I had people who had never purchased, any crypto telling me, you sell it all, sell it all. I'm like, you don't even have any crypto. I'm not listening to you. I'm not going to listen to sell advice from people that don't even have crypto. All right. And so what I do, I rode that thing pretty much into the ground. And but then when the bull run in 2021 happened, I had more money at the beginning of that bull run than I had at the beginning of the 2017 bull run. So, with that said, I know how it feels to have that bull run and like you didn't sell enough, you didn't take enough profits. So you kind of feel, upset with yourself. You just got to remember it's all cyclic. They really do run in 4-year cycles. And you just kind of got to grit your teeth and, stay inside the good cryptos. And I really truly believe that the RH ecosystem is it's like it's going to be. I just feel like this is the safe space in crypto. Richard is creating, it's not quite safe from the other investors that are in here. Some of you guys that, get all angry and then they want to dump your entire bag. You can affect the market for a short while, but I really do feel like the RH ecosystem is going to be our safe space for crypto. And as long as you kind of have the conviction, you're going to be fine. I really do. I really think that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that, another way. So it sounds like you're kind of ambivalent. You're kind of going back and forth whether holding in the past, even though the market went up and then down and then back up again, that worked out for you, right?
It's worked out greatly. I just want to say when the next bull run starts, I have more money now than I had at the beginning of the last bull run. So
me too.
I'm freaking stoked.
Yeah, I know. It took time though, didn't it?
It took 10 years.
I know it's like, damn. Well, because you got to be able to put up with watching, dropping zeros, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's the wash, rinse, repeat cycle. That's the learning you got to go through. Like, I've told you guys this before, maybe on stream, but personally, right? If I go lose $200 in the casino, I get upset. Right? I don't like losing money.
I get upset at $20.
So sitting, playing with crypto and losing 6 figures and going up and down 6 figures in the regular is like an insane amount of stress. So the only way I can really deal with that is just not looking. I just like don't look.
I go to the store and I say, I ain't buying a $25 shirt, but Hex is at 9 cents.
Yeah.
Make it rain.
That's right. But the thing is, right, to do all this stuff, you gotta go through an experience. And, like we were talking about before. I mean, we can say it. Other people can say it too. Like, oh, you gotta, you set a strategy, you have a plan, you have a time frame, just go with it, right? Because the market's going to be volatile. But damn it, when it happens to you, and you watch whatever you have get cut in half, you got the urge, man. That's the time to sell. Right then, sell because it could happen again. It's just mentally, it's really hard to get past that. But you have to practice doing it. If you practice holding through that type of stuff, you get to participate in cycles. And this is for other assets as well, not just crypto, right?
With Time Pays Me, you can program in 20% to sell over a certain period of time, and it'll drip out to you weekly.
It does.
Bless you.
It does. Bless you, Maddie.
So yeah, I mean, these are great discussions to be having when, you know, when everything's trading at a discount compared to where it was 3 weeks ago.
I got a question for you guys. So I was
Let's
listening
hear it.
to the B Roots interview on My Life is Awesome, and I actually
Man,
really,
that was lit.
yeah, I was like, wait a minute, did I say it wrong?
No.
No. I thought that was a really good interview. B Roots seems like he really understands the markets and the cycles and stuff.
What was the interview on? Where was it featured?
My Life is
Lit's
Awesome.
channel.
Lit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't caught up on that one yet, but
It's really good.
yeah,
It's
please
really
tell me.
informative. He
I
drops a
concur.
lot of, like, I think, good, alpha regarding market behaviors and how he reacts to the behaviors. He basically says he tries to sell the tops. When he gets into a coin and it starts pumping, he takes profits and whatever. But my whole question was, excuse me, he's clearly a trader, and then like a swing trader, and he likes to trade. Um, and so I was wondering how you guys feel about it as stakers, because I think, well, I'm a staker. I think staking is the best way to go, and I know there's other people in the community that think staking is not the best way to go because you miss out on being able to sell the ultra tops. um and so my solution to that is a staking ladder, so you do always have something available, either monthly or quarterly, but you'll have something available in a relatively soon time period. So you can take those opportunities. And I was just kind of wondering what your thoughts were on the whole, like, not staking versus staking. Who benefits?
Well, hey, as a comment on B Roots, he did say that he's staked Quattro Cinco.
Okay.
So he's got a ladder going all the way out too. So he's mixed in what he's doing. He's not just, as he calls it, a degen. A degen in hex. But and a lot of people kind of resemble that. Yeah, this question's coming up a lot, Bruce. I got to tell you, I'm still a believer in staking ladder. That's the bottom line. I still believe in a staking ladder. I believe that Hex is going to be the ultimate store of value for Pulse Chain, and that with a properly structured ladder, you can outplay and outlast and win. Now, it doesn't mean that somebody can't cherry pick a very specific case, hold, and sell at the top. They could, but that's not my game. I'm not interested in one and done and then try to do it again and see whether I could do it twice. I'm interested in winning for the next 15 years. So, and anyways, a little bit of rhetoric that way, but yeah, and by doing the latter, I get some great APY. And I use the example earlier in the show. 2021, I spent $10,000 and bought 1 million hex. Today, same price, roughly 1 cent, not including the copy. I have 1.4 million. I feel like I'm winning. Now, could potentially I have been strong-handed enough to hold that to a top, recognize the top, and sold it? Maybe I'm getting good enough now that I can do it, but I wasn't good enough then to be able to figure that out, and I'm glad that I stick because now I have 1.4 million.
Hell yeah.
Going into a bull.
Hell yeah.
Still earning yield.
Hell yeah. So
with a 10x or a 50x or 100x on the horizon. So
the way that I look at it is that there's a certain experience level where you really, really, really outsized get a benefit from saving yourself from yourself, time locking because of the upside volatility. I think for me, the downside volatility has always been really hard, but that's the emotion that I tried to master first was fear. And mastering fear is all about buying red candles just because they're red and keeping the faith when you see other people around you are not keeping the faith. Like being a believer to accumulate, being in an accumulation phase, you need to master fear. Now, you could kind of say that like greed comes into it even when you're on the downside, because some people, they get so greedy because they think that they know that 0.8 saccharate is like the bottom for PLS, and then they ape in all at that amount, and then they don't have anything left to put in if we went down to 0.5 or something like that. So you could stretch and say that like that there is an element of greed that can relate on the side of fear, but I really find these two to be somewhat separate emotions. And then when I was training myself, to sell green candles just because they're green, and like, maybe it's only 1% of my bag or 10% of my bag, but I'm just training myself to be able to do that. That's trying to master the emotion of greed. But even if I had become a really good trader, I would see that as being a really good gambler. You can get so greedy and cocky that you end up risking your whole stack or risking half of your stack or risking 20% of your stack. And look at what happened to Johnny Chaos when he was playing with Hex around 1 and 2 Satoshis. He was buying it for 1 Satoshi and selling it for 2 Satoshis. And then the market completely left him behind. That's the kind of thing that can happen over a longer time period, I think, for a lot of people when whether they're experienced or not, because you can always get a trade wrong. And so having the certainty of having a certain percentage of my coins time locked, and then also having the ability to play with also a small percentage, of coins to be able to, use every year. And the way that I've structured it is that like, if I want to stack to trade, I have to wait long enough for my yearly staking ladder to come out and refuel me. And if I'm already to the point where I have enough of a runway there, then now I've reached the escape velocity I needed to have a small stack to trade. But without being time locked, I wouldn't be here. I would have sold too early. I'd be gone, just like so many other people. But I don't think we talk about this very often. I don't think it's on people's radar that time locking your coins can actually stop you from scamming yourself by selling too early. I think that's a really like underappreciated aspect. And I think that people, they won't necessarily even believe it until they've tried it with Hex or they've tried it with Time Pays Me or both. Really, you only need one time locking experience. So for people who are in Ethereum and they're Ethereum maxis and they want to time lock their Ethereum, they might also get to learn the lesson that we did, that it can be really beneficial to play based on not what the price is, but play based on a calendar that you set for yourself.
Well said. I find from my experience, I was luckily I was lucky enough to build a staking ladder out for 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm getting, the hex is coming out every single month for me, and my bags are just accumulating more and more hex every single month. And one of the things that I found pretty awesome, one of the side effects, was like when all these sacrifices phases came about, because I had all this extra hex from staking, I was able to participate in a lot more sacrifices with, basically money that came at a zero cost basis, which I thought was pretty awesome. I just felt like, the staking really has allowed me to accumulate a lot more hex than I ever thought I would have had, without even realizing it. Like, so I just kind of, I'm getting, like, even during these bear markets when you don't really want to sell because you're just like, you want it to go back up. um where was I going with that? It's just basically the hex is kind of rolling in every month. I got this passive income. I see opportunities to get into sacrifices. I'm able to do that. And I also have rolling stakes, so those are collecting. Says 90% of people trading shouldn't be. I'm only decent, and I've spent over 4 years obsessively learning the game. What most people call trading is literally gambling. Yeah, 100%. There's a difference between gamblers and investors. And the gamblers are buying the bottoms and trying to sell the tops and trying to rebuy the bottoms. And the investors are here for 3+ years. Lit, my life is awesome. He was saying that he comes from traditional finance, and his mentors are telling him, hey man, don't buy a stock unless you plan on holding it for 3 years. And I kind of feel the same exact way about cryptos. It's like, you shouldn't be buying any crypto unless you plan on holding it for 3 years. And so, you know, if you see these like meme coins, you go, man, these are a flash in the pan. Probably shouldn't be buying them. And I know a lot of people are getting rich off of them. Supposedly, a couple people are, but it's such a risk versus reward that you really got to invest long term and ride out these cyclic markets. And I really believe that's the better way.
Yeah, trading is hard.
I know not everybody will agree with me. That's okay. I don't care if you agree with me or not. But I know how much I need to pay my bills every month. I have an estimate how much I want to make. And if I have enough hex that comes in every month at the lowest low that pays my bills, maybe that's all I need. I'll take $1 billion, but I think I'm okay with being able to live the rest of my life, and have enough.
I'm looking. Someone just said RH tweeted, but that was the old tweet that we read earlier.
He tweeted.
Well, so I was digging into it even further and saw that Richard did reply to something 21 minutes ago. Somebody saying something about Jeff Bezos and how he's taking pictures of girls, and then Richard said, "You'd be surprised what a thankless job changing the world is. In real life, people really don't give a F."
Mm-hmm.
Also, is that what you think raunchy is?
I imagine the picture must be pretty light.
But yeah.
I'm seeing a tweet from the real Godwell.
What? Seriously?
No.
Well, yeah, it was from. Oh, this is from 2021.
Okay.
Wow. But basically, he's just saying, how many billionaire traders do you know? Just copy what works and hodl. If it worked for me, then it can work for everyone. Less work, less headaches, more X's. God luck. That's all. I don't know. Apparently, he's not a staker.
Well, hey, Godwell and Richard, they can keep tweeting as much as they want to explain what they're thinking. That'd be really cool.
Exactly. The market needs something to analyze.
We got ChrispyMan sharing his screen here. What do you got for us?
Yeah, if you want to dig into it, I'll show you some cool stuff. So this is the latest on the staker adoption. Pretty interesting. Post fork, right, where we went, had a little bit of a flat area on Pulse, but you can see that we've seen a decrease in something we can eyeball in staking on the HEX side, but a pretty rapid increase on Pulse, just as predicted. I know a lot of people talk about there being some sort of significant amount of emergency end staking, and there has been some emergency end staking, but it isn't quite what the reports might make you believe, that it's everybody or lots of TShares, pretty much the base, our base of people that are staked have remained staked, but we do see some fluctuations. But yeah, this is pretty cool. It's going up this quickly. I mean,
so you're showing that there are 1,000 more stakers on Pulse Chain for HEX than there are on Ethereum for HEX. And the number is coming out to be about 121,000. I imagine those are open stakes.
Yeah, these are open.
And compared to 120,000.
Yeah, and it's not stakes. It's how we've been measuring for a long time the current number of staker addresses. Yeah,
current addresses, and so that suggests to me it's like maybe 0.6% higher.
Yep,
on Pulse right now, but we see it's been growing a bigger and bigger divergence since the May 14th fork or May 13th fork. So that's certainly an interesting trend to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
I can see that with all the penalties.
I was going to label this as the Bris FUD.
This makes a lot of sense because you see all those penalties on the Ethereum HEX side.
There has been some.
And that's all because people are ending their stakes early. You don't get penalties when you end your stakes on time, so those are all early end stakers. But
not really significant in terms of
it's not as many. I would have thought there was a lot more, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, the way we talk about it, because as soon as we say it, because I do the same thing. I see somebody emergency end stakes, I'm like, look at all these, everybody's emergency end staking. Then you go look, you go, okay.
Well, when you see it's in the millions on the Ethereum side, like almost daily, versus hundreds, a couple 100,000 on the Pulse Chain side, you're like, man.
Yeah, it's definitely more on Ethereum for sure. But that kind of makes sense, right? And particularly with the fear, uncertainty, and doubt going around, right? So this would be something really cool to be watching, see how this goes. Now this one will freak everybody out. It's not as bad as it seems. I just warn you that. So look at the holder chart. So this is give me the Home Alone again. Do that again, Bruce. The holders have dropped significantly on both chains. But remember, people were gearing up for the fork by holding HEX. And even in those last couple of days, people were gearing up for that. And then before the fork. And then we had the farm. And people just went crazy getting more EX, right? So you had have all these holders getting more HEX and getting into the farm, and they were getting good money and all that. But then the farm went away, right? And so between the farm going away and then now people were able to slowly process that they got copies of HEX, and they were able to go chase other things. They're able to go ahead and unload that HEX. And move into other shiny objects. So now you see we did kind of a little cross and we're getting kind of an equilibrium that we do have more people on Ethereum with still having HEX in their wallets than on Pulse, and that's simply because on Pulse people tend to be more active. Where on HEX we still have quite a few people that 30% of the HEX hasn't moved. in over a year. Those wallets haven't done any transactions.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, so it's just going to keep going like this. We'll watch it for a while and see how it plays out. But overall, even though I show you these numbers, and some people will make fun out of it, I'm sure. But overall, we're still up 3.6% and rising in total number of addresses from pre-bridge. So if I take all the addresses from both chains and put them in a big pile, and then get rid of all the duplicates, and these are all the addresses either held hex or hold hex today, and that would be the 3.9 contract, right, ending 3.9. We have 3.6 more, 3.6 more percent higher that actually have hex in their wallets. What does that mean? Well, I don't know what it means, except that if you follow the idea of network effects, then we are increasing our network effects. 3% in a month. Will that continue? I don't know. Let's watch it and see. But we've had 63,000 wallets transact with hex and since the fork. 63,000. That's a lot of wallets. Sometimes you have a wallet on both sides, right? So they get double counted. But so we take the 56 and the 47, add them together, and get rid of all the dupes. We can see that. So that's
what do you define as active? Monthly?
Well, no. Well, in this case, having any activity in the since the fork. So they actually did something since the fork.
In the past month.
Yeah, in the past month. That's a lot of moving around. Now maybe that's 20,000 people, maybe it's 25,000 people. They're hard to tell.
But there are individual wallets though. Unique?
Individual wallets, yeah.
Cool.
So it's one of many indicators we get to watch, kind of like play with and see. All right. The other thing we've been seeing is, and this is not to be unexpected, right? We knew this was happening. Because we're having that staking on the Pulse chain, overall we have more TShares. They go down, of course, because people are ending and starting new stakes. But we are seeing a little bit of decline now. But the Pulse chain TShares are about 45,000 more on Pulse chain than on Ethereum, and that is affecting our payout per TShare, though it's hard to see on this chart. But generally, we have a slightly higher payout per TShare on Ethereum over Pulse chain, which is
the penalties.
Well, even base. So even if you cut out the penalties, the base is higher.
Okay.
But you're right. The peaks here.
Well, it makes sense too because there's more activity on the Ethereum side. So.
Yeah. But when we look at the daily payouts, I'll give you an example why I say that. These are so close, even though we do have these peaks from the penalties here. These numbers are very, very close. So really what gets paid out every day is pretty close on each chain base. But because they have different numbers of TShares, the rate is higher. And meanwhile, our share rate is running neck and neck. I've got a little data thing I have to work on here. That something came up today apparently, but you can see that these numbers day over day have been pretty close, and this is because these changes are programmed in way in advance. But the end result, and this is the money shot, Bruce, right here. The end result is that we are beginning to see this differentiation on ROI and APY. Where it is clear that on Quattro Cinco now on ETH, you will get a much higher, well, I say much higher, it's a little grandiose, but a 7% higher, 6% higher overall return on investment than if you go with Pulse Hex. Of course, that won't mean as much to people because it's 15 years. You got to go all the way down to the 30-day really to look at that. And you can see that the 30 days beginning to tick off. Right, we got differences on the 30 days, and since we have so much hex and so many stakes that are 30, 45 days, this may make a difference over time. At what point do I say, I can get so much more yield in a month on ETH that I actually move the ETH rather than stay on Pulse.
Yeah.
Does that time ever come? Maybe. I know I'll be watching it. I mean, if I have, as you know, right, I do this monthly rolling stake now because, particularly because we came into this whole Pulse chain situation, but I have my stakes coming out and I'm building my ladder out into the future, but I do have some HEX that I want to come out monthly. So when I have one of those come up, what do I want to do with it? Do I want to keep it on Pulse? Now I'm going to make up a number, but let's make it extreme. Do I want to leave it on Pulse and earn, a 0.6% ROI, or do I want 2% on Ethereum?
That's so funny. Those are like almost the same exact percentages that I was thinking about. I was thinking 0.7 and like 2%. Would you switch back over to Ethereum for a 2% 30-day rolling stake versus a 0.7% rolling stake? That's a really big difference.
Yeah, it is. Well, particularly when you look at how much is being rolled weekly and monthly now. Now, I haven't talked to a lot of people about this, and I haven't done a survey, but I imagine some are playing games with this, right, in order to drive the system forward. But others really are just taking a paycheck weekly. All right. And so if they're trying to take a weekly or a monthly paycheck and pay themselves by skimming the interest, right? Well, yeah, doubling the interest is doubling your income if that's what or the reward, excuse me, I shouldn't say interest, but it might be, if they're skimming that reward, I'm telling you, you're going to get a double pay raise, right? So,
yeah.
100%. So when does that happen? I don't know. Is that at 2%, 3%? Don't know. But the market will tell us, right? And as long as things are crypto stable, HEX system stable, meaning as long as I can get in and out of ETH through the bridge, with my HEX, because perhaps I swap it to EHEX and I bring it back over the bridge. As long as I get back and forth at some sort of reasonable rate and stake it, yeah, maybe I do move like that.
This is great data.
Especially if they're at a pretty close parity. Like, makes sense.
Yeah, and one of the things we're watching real close, I know you've been watching this as well, is this whole ratio. There have been some big moves, right? Obviously, in price on EHEX going down. We're just gonna have to watch this play out. When you look at the shorter time frames, day over day, the prices mimic each other. This yellow line is the ratio. So, 129 is the number of pulse it requires to get now a hex, and 84 on the Ethereum side. So you'd have to pay 84 pulse. But the ratio of the two is that EHEX is just 65% or 35% discount over HEX. Yeah. So maybe that's the number. Maybe it sticks around there. Maybe it sticks around 25. Would it really make a difference is when and if those APRs change and people actually take action to move over. That might happen. That's why I keep saying, and when we're talking about it, it's just way too premature to make absolute judgment calls on this stuff.
That's true.
I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's just too early to do this. And even just looking at the price in USD, they seem to follow along together pretty well. I mean, it's way too early back here with these crosses, but we seem to be settling in this ratio. Day over day and prices. So the two lower numbers here, I should change the color of this at the top, but these two at the bottom, one is EHEX, the other is PHEX, and just what their prices have been. And so, from the naked eye perspective, not much difference between the two. And ultimately, the market's going to seek yield, the best yield. And, you got money in this game and you're trying to, value in this, you're trying to live off of it. People are going to seek where they'll get the most value.
Yeah, they're going to go where their money is best treated for the most part.
Yep.
And everyone, the human nature is to seek yield, right?
Yeah, we'll vote with our feet. And here's another interesting chart that's related, but this is this ink chart, and I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about ink here in the future. This is the cost of ink and pulse up at the top. Notice how flat this is. I mean, this number is going down a little bit, but nowhere near the kind of shape or slope that we're seeing on the actual USD price. And this is because the price is moving differently than the ratio to pulse. So I think what a lot of people have concluded now, I guess we'll wait to find out, is liquidity is so strong between the ink token and pulse that really it's following the price of pulse.
Yeah,
the ratio isn't changing. Yeah,
that one farm you only get like 30% APY in it because everyone, or no, that's PLS to PLSX.
Yeah. Okay. But that one's only got a 10x anyways. Did you notice all the others have a 20x weighting, but that pool only has a 10x, so it already is behind. You earn very little on the pulse X right now.
So, I'm sorry. You can. I was just gonna talk about the ink coin just for half a second.
Oh yeah. I think I'm done with this unless somebody has a question. So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think I learned something in Gold Key's thread. He had an ink thread, and I'd kind of noticed something too, like when you look at the ROI calculator and you calculate for 1 day, you're like, all right, that seems to make sense. But then you calculate it for like a year, and you're like, come on, wait a minute, this doesn't seem to make any sense. And what I typically did was I just multiplied the 1 day ROI by 365.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I'd kind of estimate maybe a year. And obviously with the percentages going down, you're not going to get that anyways. But the year-long ROI was always like way higher than what it seems like it should be. It was like, if you make something like $10 a day, well, if you make $10 a day, you should be making $36.50 a year, right? Because 10 times 365, 36.50. But in those particular pools, it would be like you're not gonna earn 36.50. You're gonna earn like $12,000 for a year. And you're like, wait a minute, how come it's like 4 times bigger? So
I got a couple inputs for you when you're ready.
The thing I think I've learned or kind of noticed is that if you keep your ink inside the farm and you do not harvest, it seems to accumulate faster, like a snowball effect. But I don't see any technical documentation on this, but that's what it feels like it's doing.
Maddie may have more specific information. I asked Gold Key about that specifically, that question. Because I asked him, because he said time in matters. And so I was asking the question, does that mean that if, just like you said, if I get in and I farm earlier, do I earn more? And that's not, apparently that is not correct. And I can tell you, just at least from monitoring, my rate does not go up based on harvesting or not harvesting. I haven't seen that or observed that. But a couple things to add to your confusion, or maybe to help. I often wondered if the APR was also including the LP yield, but I don't know if that you know, what they show on the screen as far as the APR. I was wondering if they did that because I also noticed that it was higher than what I actually was seeing. The other thing I did confirm with somebody that's technical that's involved with the project was that you do have to watch what those percentages are saying, and do not take them literally, because the percentage is a lagging indicator of percentage. It is not telling you what you're going to get. It is telling you what the farm has earned in the last 7 days. So if we are in a downswing in price, because that's another thing, that APR is also based on price. If we are in a downswing, the APR will likely be lower than it reported on the screen. And if we're in an upswing, it'll likely be higher.
Gotcha.
Right? And that's because it's looking at the last 7 days. So you'd have to like look at the last 7 days and see what the price has been doing. So
maybe it's going up, and like next week we're gonna have higher APRs.
Yeah. And so ultimately I came back to this. The only way for me to really know what I'm getting is to go look at what I got. And so every couple of days I'll do a little time trial, and I'll watch for 2 minutes, write down all the numbers, and calculate what the rate is.
Yeah, I think that those numbers in the calculator were based more on compounding. So if you took your ink out and you swapped it for whatever you had your pairs of, and then now you're earning interest on your interest, or basically you're earning yield on your yield. So that also in combination with the assumption that more people aren't going to be joining the liquidity pool, along with the assumption that you'd be getting the LP rewards, which you didn't end up getting. I think those things in combination could have accounted for the math, but I also agree that the math was much closer to what I was getting if I was looking at the 1 day or the 7 day versus anything else. And so the math was pretty unreasonable, given that we know that these ink rewards are diminishing, and that they aren't sticking around for a year. They aren't even sticking around for a week.
Yeah.
Before they drop in half. So I do have also a question having to do with, like, if there's one ink printed every second and all these pools are dropping and there's not any added, how does that get accounted for? Like, when they started the pools really high, was that like what the average of what it would pay out? Or like, is there some accumulation of ink that gets stored up that ends up getting applied to like future pools that start high and go low? But like, time isn't going any faster or slower than it was before, and yet the total amount of ink that's getting printed does seem to be going down.
Is it though? Is it?
Or maybe it's just getting distributed wider, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think what I'm observing, and somebody might correct me here in the chat, is that prices have gone down. So it appears like liquidity has not gone up, but the number of tokens going into the pools has increased.
Okay, that could be it.
And so then the shares are going down. I think that's what I'm observing, but I'm right there with you. I just don't know. And I don't have an easy calculator to go figure it out without doing a lot of research, and
I am the data, Brett. Release the data.
But yeah, I'm with you on that, Maddie. That there's lots of questions, like, is it truly 1 per second? So some guys on Twitter, I'm only reporting what I saw, have done some research and came back and said, yeah, it's pretty close to 1 per second. Okay. And then there's the question of, well, what if you have this, what if you have this multiplier, like the one we were talking about with PLS and PLSX? Well, the multiplier is only 10x. All the other farms are 20x. So does that mean that you have 10x times 1 per pool? But that doesn't appear to be the case. It looks like it's 1 per second split in a ratio weighted by
I think like Gamma DevOps might have like answered that question,
yeah.
where he said it's not really accurate to call it an X. Although it kind of is. It's just like it's more a ratio or a percentage. If you add up all the X's that is getting distributed. So it's kind of like an X, but not. It could maybe be more clear.
Yeah, it's a weight. I took it as a weighting.
Yeah.
You know how you might weight selections or criteria, and some things you give a 10 weight. Well, the Pulse X has a 10 weight. Everything else has a 20 weight, and then multiplied by some value having to do with the dollar value or the number of tokens, perhaps. The math at the moment eludes me. Otherwise, I'd calculate it. But
my question also is, at the 1 year mark, does the inflation get cut in half, or is it
No.
reduced day by day?
I thought it was reduced like 10% per year.
Okay.
But not on one single day, right?
Yeah, but so that would be my next question. Does that get reduced on that one single day, or does that get reduced like daily throughout the course of the year?
Great questions.
Yeah, we got to ask these questions because it makes us seem like we don't know what we're talking about, and maybe somebody will correct us and we'll have the answer. Because
Yeah.
I'd like to know, right? Maybe somebody will hear
Trust me, I know everything. All right,
I know you do. I know you do. Yeah, but that's a great question because I think that I think we are in a situation where it is becoming more and more scarce. And that being the case, supply dynamics could drive it upwards, and that's crazy, right? And I get what the argument will be, but it's just another token with scarce supply. And so if people want to speculate, they can speculate. If they want to corner the market, they can drive the price up. But of course, the little Easter eggs in the Master Chef contract kind of allude to it being some sort of governance token. And if that turns out to be true, people want to have it.
Yeah.
I think that, as I observed before, when people were saying that the price of ink token could go directly to $1,000 per token, I said, after it's been around a week and then you wait another week, the available supply has doubled. And then if you wait another 2 weeks after that, the supply has doubled. And then you wait another month after that, the supply has doubled again. And at some point, you're going to see a price bottom, and then it'll become scarce, I believe. But I think it's probably what Brisology is saying with 3 months down the road. Like that's going to give us way more, because that is kind of like a happening in a sense. If you're on this schedule of 0 tokens have ever been created, and then you end up reaching an equilibrium.
But I'll throw this to you.
Please.
We'll just assume you're not accumulating ink per se. Perhaps you're just farming it.
Busted.
Right? But as we go along here, right, you're observing you're getting less and less, right? So I'm observing that I'm getting less and less, right? It is happening. Because that's what I'm seeing go on. I'm getting less ink token. So my ability to generate more while I'm not accumulating ink is going down. And so if Briz, being the god whale that he is, accumulates all of the ink that's on the market, or as much of it as he can bear on the market, it puts me in a way different situation where I can't compete, at least in terms of owning ink, right? And I think
but there's still one per second. So you have to wait till it does become scarce before that can happen.
Yeah, but if you go look at the buys, you can see. I actually started pulling the data yesterday for this, but the ink pulse pair. My cursory observation is much fewer buys for many more dollars and ink as compared to sells. So tons of little sells, little guys getting out, but people buying up. So whatever that means.
Since last week, I had my little shrimp farm, not talking about the shrimp farm that got everybody wrecked in Hex 2.5 years ago. I'm just saying I was a very small farmer between wrapped Bitcoin and Pulse. Okay. And I was farming away and I was, making so many sweet ink tokens. And I was just waiting for the moment when I would have to sell the farm for Pulse because it was dipping too much for me to really want to be. I don't want to accumulate more Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like, and when the price goes down, I don't want to be buying at every price if I think it's going to keep going down. I want to buy at the price where it's lower than where I'm at. And so I'm talking about why it made sense for me to sell my Bitcoin or to sell my Bitcoin into Pulse or to sell it into stables and then DC those stables in over, a matter of days. That made sense for me because I didn't want to keep buying Bitcoin. And once the trade flipped, I didn't want to be giving up Pulse. And I had already been seeing that, as the price of Pulse had been oscillating up and down against Bitcoin, I'd been seeing I was losing Pulse. I was losing millions of Pulse. And then it kind of started to fill back the other way. And I was gaining millions of Pulse. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna sit out a couple days. I'm gonna sit out 3 days, 4 days. And that's when I saw, the price kept going down 10% or 15% per day. And so that allowed me to get a little bit better entry. But I think I had talked about that before, that I talked about on stream how I was planning to at some point playing my Bitcoin LP and dumping it into Pulse.
I was kind of thinking, I'm like, out of all the farms, besides like the stable coins, there's only one farm that has a non-RH coin in it, and it's the wrapped Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, why would Richard do that? Why would Richard use, the wrapped Bitcoin? And I had a couple small theories. One,
let's go,
was that Richard, being a famous Bitcoin miner, he probably has a ton of Bitcoins that are probably wrapped on Ethereum, and they probably got duplicated in the Pulse chain thing, right? And I know, in my opinion, I believe that the OA wants to accumulate a large share of each particular RH coin. And what better way to do that with a whole bunch of wrapped Bitcoin and a farm? And then the other reason was like, oh, maybe he's trying to throw a bone to the Bitcoin guys, like, like I gave all this to the Ethereum guys, but here, Bitcoiners, if you want to come over and provide some liquidity, you can actually earn some ink. So I can see that maybe like because I'm quite frankly, I'm surprised that he incentivized the Bitcoin farm, because it's like, why are you incentivizing Bitcoiners?
Because they're bridging value over to Pulse chain that has real world value, and by Hart's law, that makes Pulse more valuable. If you got $1 billion or $10 billion of any crypto, any stable to come over an LP farm to where they're willing to create price discovery by saying, I don't care which one you take because I'm so confident that this price is right, that I don't care if you take the Bitcoin on this side of the trade or if you take the Pulse on this side of the trade. That's the kind of like proof that makes a market price be discovered. And so I think that's and then that in turn gives us a price that I think has value because of Hart's law.
Yeah.
When you're saying that two things are interchangeable, you're proving the value. And so yeah. It was also like for me, it made the most sense out of any other farm because it was paying so much, because I would be willing to accumulate Pulse. because I like the upside of Bitcoin, although the stability of Bitcoin. So I knew, like, you know, if ETH dropped and Pulse dropped and HEX dropped, like Bitcoin would probably drop the least. But I knew that if the crypto market started to take off, then I'd be better off than holding stables.
Also, maybe the liquidity bonding, you know, trying to bond the market of the Pulse chain ecosystem to the overall Bitcoin, Ethereum markets, like how Joe Venito said.
Joe, what's up? I met him in Miami. Good to see you there.
Joe. So kind of that makes a lot of sense to me. But the other thing that I think also makes a lot of sense is that, you know, I think it's a good way for the OA to accumulate a lot of ink coins, because
It
I don't
could,
know.
you know, it could be. I think that that pool only having like 20 or 25 million dollars worth of coins in it is like, if the OA is trying to accumulate, it's not, you know, moving in the majority of its bags. For sure, for sure,
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. It's like leaving it juicy for everybody else too. And I think that you know, because remember, at any time in the next 4 years, the OA could come in and just provide a ton of liquidity and, you know, accumulate a bunch of ink. But for now, it's like,
Or
you know,
just simply buy
you
them.
want those rewards to be juicy enough. And for me, it was like, it was juicy at first, and then it stopped being juicy enough because I saw the potential for just straight out accumulation of Pulse.
Hmm.
Yeah, I kind of I wanted to accumulate, you know, a number of those ink coins, and I had them in the ink to PLS and ink to PLSX farms, and
Uh,
like the price of ink was going down. I'm like, man, if this thing shoots back up, I'm gonna lose all these ink. You know? So I'm like, you know, I don't think I want to do this farm anymore.
you sold the farm?
So I sold the farm, I salted the lands, and I butchered the ox.
So funny.
But I got a stew, so if anyone wants to come over, I'm making
All
a
right,
great stew.
cattle stew. B space C says, hopefully all the weak hands sell everything and give us a great deal before the pump. There you go.
Woohoo!
Well,
Yes, I hope so.
I'm glad we covered so many awesome topics. We got over the 2.5 hour mark here. Do you guys have anything else before we wrap up? I got one other thing. I just want to make it super clear, because I did do a soft like reveal of I'm going to be doing my coaching thing. I expect that there will be lots of scammers out there pretending to be me, asking you to send payments. The only place that I'm posting how to pay for the coaching is on my Medium blog, MATI, allin.medium.com. The only crypto address I'm using is the same one I've always used, mati.eth. That's the only address that you're ever going to send anything to. And then I might work on a way to use credit cards, but that would only be through Eventbrite. I don't use PayPal. I don't use Cash App. I don't use Venmo. There's none of that. If somebody's direct messaging you, telling you anything different than what I just said, they're a scammer, and I can't offer coaching to people who have sent their money to the wrong place. So that's really important. And sorry for not bringing that up earlier.
No, it's important. Too many scammers. Too many scammers.
You know, I don't really have too much else. If you guys want to come say hi to me on Twitter, I'm at Brisology on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I got a little YouTube channel, so I'm on Brisology on YouTube. Nice. No one wants to imitate me. I've never had a scammer pretend to be me.
But it's really important, you know, this is your birthday gift to Brisology, is to follow him on Twitter and YouTube right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. If you guys want to find me, go over to Hexfire.io, Hexfire.io, my public site. You can go to Hexfire.io here on YouTube, also on Twitter. You find me there. For those interested in some more high-level access to data and reports and whatnot, check out the Patreon. Consider joining. I'll take you. Come on over. I only have a select group over there now. Gonna keep it that way. But if you're interested, come check it out.
Awesome. So yeah.
LP
Good
Summit.
to see everybody. Definitely comment if you're on the replay, gang. Check it out. Hit the like button. I'll be back on Thursday for Hex Therapy Live. Until then, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Ha 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 ha, Bruce. I like the